Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelenskyy claims Moscow is planning more, quote, provocations in the Baltic region. He was speaking during a visit to NATO's newest member, Sweden. Zelenskyy's comments follow incidents last month where it appeared Russia was calling into question some of its borders.
The Baltic Sea, long a buffer zone between Russia and the West. But tensions have been rising in the Baltic after Russia's invasion of Ukraine prompted previously neutral Finland and Sweden to join NATO, which is now seen by Moscow as an even bigger threat. The Western military alliance, which also includes the former Soviet Baltic republics, now surrounds practically the entire Baltic Sea, highlighted here in blue. Only the Kaliningrad exclave and Gulf of Finland are controlled by Russia. Last month, Moscow set off alarm bells with this statement by the Defense Ministry, saying that the state border of the Russian Federation at sea will change. The statement was retracted hours later without clarification. But Russia noted that the political situation in the region had changed fundamentally since the last border measurements in 1985. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said, "You see how tensions have escalated and what the level of confrontation is, especially in the Baltic. This, of course, requires us to take appropriate steps to ensure our security." One area that could be affected is Russia's Kaliningrad exclave between NATO members Poland and Lithuania. Countries can restrict ships' rights of passage within their territorial waters, marked here in yellow, but not in their exclusive economic zone, here in blue, extending 200 nautical miles from shore. The other area affected could be the Gulf of Finland and its islands. The waterway between what are now NATO members Finland and Estonia was historically Russia's gateway to Western Europe. Here the territorial waters are even closer, which could lead to confrontation more easily. Russia's neighbors say they are watching Moscow's moves closely.
We are, and we have to be well prepared against all kinds of threats coming from Russia. But now it's time to be calm and look very carefully what really is happening. Maybe they are testing us.
Another flashpoint in the region is Sweden's island of Gotland. The island, which is now NATO territory, lies strategically right smack in the middle of the Baltic Sea. In 2005, Gotland was demilitarized in a gesture of peace and cooperation. But in the wake of Russia's aggression in Ukraine, Sweden has rearmed the island and reinforced troop numbers. Sweden's top military chief has warned that Russian President Vladimir Putin has his eyes set on Gotland for its strategic position. He recently told a German news outlet that Putin's goal was control of the Baltic Sea.
Let's get some analysis now with Anna Wieslander, Director for Northern Europe at the Atlantic Council. She joins us from the Swedish capital, Stockholm. Now, why is the Baltic Sea so important for Putin?
Well, the Baltic Sea has always been important for Russia. It's about maritime power. It's about the most efficient way of supply and trade routes for Russia. And they also have the enclave of Kaliningrad, highly militarized, as we saw here on the maps, with an anti-access area denial bubble created there since about a decade, and with very advanced weapon systems. So this is a crucial area for Russia and has always been.
Now, Russia's defense ministry has posted a document outlining its plans to redraw the Baltic Sea borders, only to remove it hours later. What do you make of that?
Well, that's a very classic Russian way of doing things. It's a bit of the upside down world to act to intimidate and to create insecurity and doubts, and then create tensions. And then the next step would be to act on that and say that they need to increase their security because of the tensions they have created. So I think this is just what we have seen, part of their shadow war, of their hybrid activities that they have conducted ever since the illegal annexation of Crimea in 2014, actually, for this region.
Now, many say that by adding Finland and Sweden to the club, NATO has essentially boxed Russia in. Is it surprising that Russia would lash out?
Well, it started with Russia acting aggressively, as I mentioned, in 2014. We had then, for instance, an intense submarine hunt in the Swedish archipelago. We had a range of Russian intrusions into our airspace. We had Russia conducting exercises, training with nuclear weapons and air fighter jets. So they have been acting very assertively in the region for a long time. And that's why Sweden and Finland decided to join NATO. So you have to keep in mind what came first, so to say, and Russia's aggressive behavior came first.
Now, you've listed a few incidents. What's your read on Russia's latest maneuvers? Do you think that Moscow really wants a confrontation with NATO?
Well, Russia has said that they are in confrontation with NATO for quite some time now in their official documents. And it serves the purpose of having an enemy abroad and strengthening the regime inwards. And the war in Ukraine also serves this purpose for the Putin regime. So unfortunately, we see this both in the military sphere and not least in the hybrid sphere with vast disinformation, cyber attacks, sabotage, and so on, GPS jamming, the weaponization of immigrants. It's just all over. And unfortunately, from the Russian perspective, they are already confronting the West and NATO.
Do you think that NATO has been too timid so far in its response to Russia's aggression?
Yes, unfortunately, it is a fact that Russia understands the language of strength, and the West has not really shown that. In 2014, after Russia illegally annexed Crimea, the US actually decreased its overall defense spending. Germany became energy dependent on Russian gas. And we also have not deterred Russia in the hybrid sphere. So we need quite drastically now to increase our defense spending. Only 21 out of 32 NATO allies will reach the 2% of GDP target at the NATO summit in July. And this needs to accelerate, not only to help Ukraine, but also to strengthen our own defenses. That's the language that Russia understands, and that could serve for the next step to, if we are strong, Russia will be more willing to negotiate and calm down.
Anna Wieslander there, the Director for Northern Europe at the Atlantic Council. Many thanks for sharing your expertise with us.
Thank you.